Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite, thanks to RØDE microphones.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
Introducing Robert Marshall from Source Elements and Someone Audio Post, Chicago. Darren Robbo Robertson from Voodoo Radio Imaging, Sydney. Tech to the VO stars, George the Tech Whittam from LA. And me, Andrew Peters, voiceover talent and home studio guy.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
Welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. Don't forget our Patreon site, which is Patreon. Now, what is it? Patreon.com/proaudiosuite.com. Is that correct?
If you're going directly there, it's patreon.com/proaudiosuite. If you want to go there the cheats way, you can go to patreon.com and just search us at Patreon and we'll pop up. We're the only one there.
Cool. Lovely. Now, you found a question this week, Robbo, which I've got in front of me if you'd like me to relay the question.
Yeah, sure.
Something we've never talked about before, actually, so let's fire away. The question was, it was on social media somewhere, which I'm sure, if anyone's interested, Robbo will tell you. It says, to leave phantom power on or turn it off, what is the consensus? When I'm finished recording for the day/evening, I turn off phantom power to leave the microphone plugged into the interface. At the start of my next recording session, I turn on phantom power, which of course results in a blip pop from the microphone. Might this damage the mic? Should I just leave power on 24/7? I don't know where he lives, but he's got 27 hours in a day. Or is this the normal process for most? Who wants to start?
Leave it on.
Yeah, I just leave it on.
If you turn your computer off, likely your interface will turn off. That depends if your interface has a separate power button. But what I would do is definitely turn your speakers down if you're going to shut everything down. And for the most part, the phantom power can be left on almost all the time if you only have a single mic. If you have ribbon mics around, it might be courteous or good to turn phantom power off between sort of plugging in the microphone or not. But once the microphone's plugged in, you can leave phantom power turned on. It's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
I never touch the phantom power at all. I just leave it as is. And,
You never put your tongue on it and see if it's there?
Like a 9-volt
I do that
battery.
with batteries, just to make sure the batteries
I
are
love
got a
that
charge.
9-volt batteries, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I got my 8-year-old daughter to do that the other day. I said, "Here, just taste this."
And they let you have more children, Robert?
Yeah, that's right.
Believe it.
Exactly. I'm sort of in the middle, I guess. I or maybe a bit more like Robert. If I'm swapping mics out, I'll turn the 48 off. Otherwise, I pretty much leave it on. So, yeah. But interestingly, I mean, you could go back to that episode we did a couple of weeks ago about a green studio. I wonder whether, if leaving it on, how much power are you going to chew up?
Not much. It's very, very low current.
Yeah.
It's not high current, so it's not, it's going to multiply out to much power, but it's still something. I mean, if everyone in the world turned off their phantom power on Earth Day, how much would that move the needle?
Well,
3 amps.
Yeah.
The way it's going, every little bit's going to help, I think.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
Well, more people waste power by just leaving everything in their stereo system, computer, office, just physically plugged in.
Yeah.
There's smart power strips you can get where when you shut off the key, like let's say, for example, your television. When you shut off the television, that's a master socket, and then there's a circuit inside that detects that you've decreased, the TV has decreased its current draw, so it must be off, and then it triggers a relay, and then it shuts off the power to all the other sockets. So if you really do want to start saving energy, this is one of the best ways to do it, because even when your stuff is quote-unquote off, it's still always on.
Yep.
And
It's that standby,
Yeah, and every single wall wart you have in your house, with the transformers drawing power.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If you just leave a wall wart plugged in and you don't plug in anything to the end of it, it will actually draw power.
It's still drawing some power, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little ways. We always say it's death by 1,000 cuts. Well, it's like if you really are trying to be ultra green, you have to do that kind of stuff. And I'm definitely not doing that. I can tell you. But I do have one massive power conditioner on my desk that when I turn it off, it turns off absolutely everything except my Mac Mini. and my backup drive because I want that to keep running and backing itself up to the cloud and doing all its things it needs to do. But everything else shuts off. But I will say this, the Mac M1 uses 90% less power than the previous generation.
I saw that somewhere. Yeah, that's incredible.
George
like
mentioned it a
10
couple
watts,
weeks ago.
something like that.
There is something about, and I think it goes back a while where once you turn something on, once it warms up, it's better. And I was even talking to
tube stuff.
Well, and boards. I was talking to someone about the board I have and what's best. And, the power supplies are behind a wall and what's best for the board. And there is definitely still, at least with some techs, and I'm not sure that it's incorrect, but just the general thinking that the board will last longer if it's powered up or powered off its whole life, I guess. But powering it up and down a lot causes the electronics to expand and contract, and that can be one of the biggest. But I don't know, if that definitely doesn't apply to computers, I don't think, in the same way, mainly because, computers will be obsolete quicker.
Yeah. See, I heard that about tubes years ago. Is it best for a tube to leave it on as opposed to on and off all the time?
Well, they get hot.
Yeah.
Well, they're supposed to be hot. They have to get to operating temperature, but they usually say it's best to keep it there. If you're a commercial studio, well, you leave everything on all the time. But if you're a home studio, I think it makes a lot more sense to power it on in the morning and turn it off at the end of the day. I think that's sensible. I would not turn it on every session. Let's say you have 2 sessions in the morning, one after lunch, and then, another one at dinner. I would not turn it off 4 times throughout the day. Not tube stuff.
It's interesting to talk about tubes, though. I read an article about the Clash recording their first album, and because it was just like a quick signing and just go and get them to record somewhere, they threw them upstairs in a studio that was very rarely used because they didn't want to have any contact with them particularly. So the engineer that moved in there, he had this big Neve desk, but it was old and it had no phantom power. So all the mics they used were like 67s and 47s because they had to have their own power source. Huh. So it was actually recorded in a really, really old-fashioned way, like 1950s style, the first Clash record. Yeah, interesting.
Phantom power is an incredibly small amount of current. Your mic's using a very small amount of power. Solid-state mics are really stable, so they don't really, I don't think they have to be warmed up more than 10 seconds till the phantom power ramps up all the way. And it's not going to hurt one way or the other. So as usual, we go on tangents, but that's what we like to do. We could have just said, don't bother and move on, but it's more fun to discuss all these other things.
But what about T-Power?
Oh, come on.
Someone might run into it. You get a 415 instead of a 415 instead of a 416.
415. Yeah, there's a 415 and a 416 T-Power. You'll see it has a T next to the model instead of a P.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 12 volt. It uses a different powering scheme. I don't know the technicalities of it, but it was definitely developed for field production where back in the day, you couldn't get 48 volts phantom power out of a 12 volt battery, not easily.
And I think it's not floating in the same way. Like you don't want to send T-power to a mic, whereas with phantom, it's okay to send phantom power to a dynamic mic. And some will definitely disagree with me, but it's actually okay to send phantom power to a ribbon mic. You can't use that quote alone. But that's assuming that you plug it in evenly. So it hits the positive and negative at the same time.
Totally.
Because then nothing will hit the ribbon. It's when you plug the XLR in and you kind of hit one pin before the other, and now the ribbon sees, plus 12 volts and not anything to counteract it on the other side.
Yeah, that would be very bad.
And then
not worth the risk.
And then pop goes your ribbon.
And one thing I love about the Grace M101 is it has a ribbon mode. So when you turn on ribbon mode, it totally shuts off phantom. You can't mistakenly turn on phantom either. So.
You can't bump the button. They should have like the missile button for phantom. Like
we could flip a lid
flip
open.
the cover, and then you're like, and you need a key.
2 keys.
And the second person.
Yeah. You have to get another engineer.
The buttons are so far apart, not one person can't possibly press them both.
Yes.
It was really funny talking about the Grace, though. We had that Shure ribbon mic to test a few months back, and I used the ribbon button on the Grace, and it still couldn't give me enough. The gain was still pretty low.
Yeah,
Wow.
it didn't have enough heat. I think the Grace can do about 65 dB or something like that.
You need the Neve with like 90 or
You need something,
Yeah.
Yeah, they have tons of gain. Tons.
Yeah.
Did we
There
answer
you
the
go.
question?
Oh, probably not, but it doesn't matter. It's
Should we
fine.
ever answer the question?
We swirled around it and it slowly went down a hole.
Yeah, I reckon leave it on.
Yeah, leave it on.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite recorded using Rode NTG5s and Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging.
With tech support from George the Tech Witter.
Help us share the show with more people and get your hands on exclusive content by contributing to our Patreon page.
See patreon.com/Pro Audio Suite.
Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website.
ProAudioSuite.com.